Now there's another story coming out of this game, and it is the special whistle, or lack thereof, that Asia Wilson is getting. And this isn't the first time.
In the electrifying theater of the WNBA, where legacies are forged and rivalries ignite with every dribble and swish, a seismic shift in power dynamics might be unfolding before our very eyes. The question hanging heavy in the air is this: what transpires when a reigning most valuable player, the very epitome of on-court excellence, appears to falter, and a burgeoning rookie sensation finds herself at the epicenter of a swirling vortex of controversy? A tempest of scrutiny and speculation has been unleashed, its furious winds centered upon one intensely debated on-court encounter, a moment frozen in time by the unforgiving lens of the camera.
Right here was so egregious, man. I just wanted to point it out. I had to point it out, dog. There was no way, all right, that you can't tell me that the Asia Wilson whistle isn't a thing. I remember this specific moment, right, where Aliyah Boston was backing down, trying to put the ball back up, and Asia Wilson gets a jump ball after wrapping her arms clearly around from the backside.
The stage was set for a high-stakes collision as the formidable Las Vegas Aces, the reigning queens of the court, locked horns with the ascendant Indiana Fever, a team brimming with youthful energy and an unyielding hunger for victory. At the heart of this captivating contest were two titans of the game, albeit at vastly different stages of their illustrious careers. For the Aces, there was the indomitable Aja Wilson, a force of nature, a multiple-time All-Star, and the reigning MVP, a player whose dominance had become synonymous with WNBA excellence. On the opposing side stood Aliyah Boston, the highly touted rookie for the Fever, a prodigious talent whose arrival in the league had been met with fervent anticipation, a young star rapidly ascending towards the zenith of her potential. But as the intensity of the game reached a fever pitch, a flashpoint erupted, an incident that transcended the boundaries of mere competition and plunged into the murky depths of controversy. Frustration, an insidious adversary that can corrode even the most steely resolve, seemingly gripped Aja Wilson in its relentless embrace, culminating in a moment that many observers, both seasoned analysts and impassioned fans alike, have vehemently condemned as a blatant, indefensible cheap shot directed at the unsuspecting Aliyah Boston. This single act, captured in excruciating detail by the ever-present cameras, sent reverberations that continue to ripple throughout the league, igniting a maelstrom of impassioned debate and casting a long shadow over Wilson's hard-earned reputation. In that split second, the composed champion, the very embodiment of grace under pressure, appeared to shed her veneer of poise, revealing a rawness, a palpable frustration that left her looking uncharacteristically rattled, a stark contrast to the leadership expected from the face of the league. This singular moment has been relentlessly replayed, dissected frame by agonizing frame, and continues to fuel the fiery discourse surrounding the shifting tides of the WNBA.
But the Aces looking a little long in the tooth there in Vegas, that team, that core, just kind of sputtering at this point in time, slow-footed, and that's where I thought that the Fever could take advantage of the Aces, and they did, and Indiana moved quickly. They moved with purpose. They get another big game from Kelsey Mitchell in this one, who continues to just prove that she is a baller, a hooper, and a bona fide.
The anatomy of the controversial play itself is a study in contention and diverging interpretations. As Aliyah Boston, demonstrating the tenacity and skill that belie her rookie status, diligently worked to establish crucial low-post position in the unforgiving confines of the paint, Aja Wilson, with the instincts of a seasoned defender, moved to contest. However, what transpired next has become the crux of the escalating controversy. Wilson appeared to execute a move that many have decried as a clear infraction, seemingly wrapping her powerful arms around Boston from behind, impeding her movement and disrupting her attempt to gain an advantageous scoring position. The collective gasp from the arena was almost audible, yet when the whistle finally pierced the tension-laden air, the call that followed defied the expectations of many. Instead of the anticipated foul being whistled against Wilson, the referees inexplicably signaled a jump ball, a decision that ignited a firestorm of disbelief and fury. The television commentators, seasoned observers of the game, could barely conceal their astonishment, their voices laced with incredulity as they struggled to reconcile the visual evidence with the official ruling. The fans, their emotions running high, erupted in a chorus of boos and vehement protests, their frustration echoing across social media platforms in a torrent of outrage. Was this yet another instance, as some have darkly whispered, of the perceived special whistle that seems to favor certain star players? A contentious notion that has long simmered beneath the surface of professional sports? The incident served only to intensify the already heated conversation surrounding the perceived inconsistencies in WNBA officiating, raising troubling questions about fairness and impartiality at a critical juncture in the season.
Aliyah Boston was just throwing the ball at the basket and hoping for the best, but she locked down A'ja Wilson today. She completely outplayed A'ja Wilson. I don't care what the box score says. She completely outplayed A'ja Wilson. And if she just made a couple of those bunnies, this wouldn't have been a close game at all.
Adding an intriguing layer to this unfolding drama is the starkly contrasting fortunes of the two teams involved. While the Las Vegas Aces, the reigning champions who entered the season with lofty expectations of continued dominance, have found themselves navigating an uncharacteristic patch of turbulence, the Indiana Fever, a team long languishing in the shadows of the league, have embarked on an electrifying surge, defying preseason predictions and capturing the imagination of fans across the nation. What makes this juxtaposition even more compelling is the fact that the Fever's resurgence has coincided with the sidelining of their own marquee rookie, the incandescent Caitlin Clark, whose absence due to injury has paradoxically seemed to galvanize her teammates. The contrast could scarcely be more pronounced. The once unstoppable Aces seemingly stumbling, grappling with unexpected losses and internal frustrations, while the Fever, fueled by a collective spirit and the emergence of other key players, continue their relentless ascent. At the heart of the Aces' struggles appears to be the mounting frustration of A'ja Wilson, whose on-court demeanor has become increasingly animated, her interactions with officials frequently bordering on confrontational, her body language betraying a simmering discontent. This visible agitation has become a prominent storyline, raising questions about team chemistry and leadership during a critical juncture in their championship defense. The narrative of the 2025 WNBA season has undeniably taken an unforeseen and dramatic turn, the spotlight shifting away from the expected dominance of the Aces and illuminating the inspiring rise of the Fever, a transformation that has not been in Wilson's favor. Whispers have begun to circulate about the Aces' aging core, the once formidable unit perhaps showing the wear and tear of seasons past, struggling to maintain the relentless pace required to stay at the pinnacle of the league.
Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark go up against the Las Vegas Aces and last year's MVP, A'ja Wilson, and walk away with a W, 80-70. That player right there, Natasha Howard, she came alive in the third quarter, dropping 11 points in the third quarter, giving us the lead, a 27-point third quarter without Caitlin Clark. Who would have thought this team can score over 20 points in a quarter without Caitlin Clark?
The shifting balance of power in this burgeoning rivalry was further underscored by the Indiana Fever's recent and unexpected dominance over the seemingly invincible Las Vegas Aces. Just a mere year ago, the notion of the Fever consistently besting the Aces would have been relegated to the realm of improbable fantasies, a scenario deemed highly unlikely by even the most optimistic Indiana supporters. Yet, reality has delivered a stunning plot twist. On the memorable date of July 3rd, the Fever orchestrated a decisive and resounding 81-54 victory over the defending champions. A triumph that not only snapped a demoralizing 16-game losing streak against Vegas, but also served as a powerful declaration of intent. This was no lucky break, no mere off night for the Aces. It was a statement, bold and unambiguous. In that pivotal contest, rookie Aliyah Boston delivered a performance that belied her experience, seemingly neutralizing the offensive prowess of A'ja Wilson and, in the eyes of many observers, demonstrably outplaying the reigning MVP in a head-to-head matchup. The scoreboard spoke volumes, but the individual battles within the game painted an even clearer picture of a changing of the guard. And the Fever's success was no fleeting phenomenon. Just a few short weeks later, on July 24th, they repeated their stunning feat, once again defeating the Aces, this time by a score of 80-70, thereby clinching the coveted season series victory. What made this second triumph even more remarkable was the fact that the Fever accomplished it without the invaluable contributions of their injured superstar, Caitlin Clark, further solidifying their reputation as a resilient and determined squad capable of overcoming significant challenges. While Aja Wilson poured in a Herculean effort in that first blowout loss, tallying an impressive 29 points, her individual brilliance proved insufficient to carry the struggling Aces, highlighting the lack of consistent support from her teammates. Their dismal 16% shooting from the field and the fact that no other player managed to score more than 6 points that night painted a stark picture of a team out of sync and lacking cohesion. The once unthinkable had become reality. The Indiana Fever, without their marquee player, had twice conquered the Las Vegas Aces and their reigning MVP.
The WNBA referees look at Asia Wilson literally mugging somebody, literally reenacting the now infamous Coldplay concert hug heard around the world that had 9 million memes made about it over the last week, when she's literally remaking that on the court by just mugging Aliyah Boston. Oh, shit. Them WNBA referees turn into Ray Charles. They swallow their damn whistles.
The narrative of controversial officiating and perceived favoritism towards Wilson took another troubling turn with the emergence of yet another contentious incident, this time dating back to a game on July 4th. In a sequence eerily reminiscent of the play involving Boston, Wilson appeared to come over the back of Fever guard Lexi Hull during a spirited attempt to intercept the ball. Once again, to the astonishment of many watching, the referees inexplicably whistled for a jump ball instead of assessing a foul against Wilson. The sense of déjà vu was palpable, a recurring theme that did not go unnoticed by Indiana's fiercely loyal supporters, who grew increasingly vocal in their condemnation of what they perceived as a clear pattern of inconsistent officiating favoring the Aces star. The Aja Wilson whistle, as it had been dubbed by some with a mixture of frustration and sarcasm, had become a significant point of contention, sparking widespread debate not only among fans, but also within the league itself regarding the impartiality and consistency of officiating standards. The chorus of criticism grew louder, and even Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White publicly voiced her concerns about the uneven nature of the calls being made throughout the season, implicitly referencing the perceived discrepancies that seemed to impact her team's games.
Aja was terrible. Like, absolutely terrible. I don't care that she had 20 points. The fakest 20 points ever. She was terrible. She was absolutely terrible.
Adding a further layer of irony and complexity to this unfolding saga is a revealing flashback to an earlier encounter between Wilson and Boston. In the team's first matchup of the season, back in June, it was Aja Wilson who was the one levying accusations of unsportsmanlike conduct against the then-rookie Aliyah Boston. Camera footage captured Wilson audibly barking the word flopping in Boston's direction after the Fever Center's reaction to contact drew a foul call against Wilson. In that moment, Wilson clearly believed that Boston was exaggerating contact in an attempt to draw favorable calls from the officials, a tactic often frowned upon in the competitive world of professional basketball. However, fast forward just a month to the now infamous alleged cheap shot, and the roles appeared to have been dramatically reversed. It was now Wilson who stood accused of questionable tactics, essentially body-slamming Boston from behind in a blatant attempt to prevent a score. The tables had undeniably turned, the dirty play, as many described it, originating not from the rookie, but from the established veteran. And crucially, the entire sequence was captured for posterity, leaving little room for ambiguity in the eyes of the viewing public. The stark contrast between Wilson's past accusation and her subsequent actions served to further fuel the outrage and intensify the scrutiny surrounding her on-court behavior. The sentiment among many was clear. Had the roles been reversed, had Boston been the one to execute such a physical play against Wilson, the repercussions would likely have been swift and severe.
Aja Wilson, she gets the left hand on the ball, right? Slaps down, get a hand on the ball. Okay, cool. Still got it. Now, right here. Watch this right hand now. Look at this right hand, y'all. Right hand grabs her. Okay? Right hand grabs and she knows she cheating. Look, she's smiling. She knows she cheated, y'all.
The ramifications of Wilson's perceived transgressions extended beyond the incident involving Boston. In the very next game, a contest against the Minnesota Lynx on July 25th, Wilson's simmering frustration seemingly boiled over once again, resulting in another physical outburst that drew condemnation. During the opening quarter, as Wilson and Lynx All-Star Kayla McBride jostled for crucial positioning, the two players briefly became entangled. In response to this minor contact, Wilson reacted with a forceful two-handed shove to McBride, sending the veteran guard sprawling to the hardcourt. McBride hit the floor with a thud, the impact clearly visible and eliciting gasps from the crowd. The official response to this blatant act of aggression? A mere common foul was assessed against Wilson. There was no ejection, no flagrant foul called, a decision that left Minnesota fans in utter disbelief and further fueled the growing narrative of preferential treatment for the Aces star. While there was no apparent history of bad blood or animosity between Wilson and McBride, this aggressive exchange undoubtedly left a bitter taste and may well have ignited a new rivalry. More significantly, it solidified the perception that A'ja Wilson was developing an alarming tendency towards outbursts of physical play when faced with on-court adversity, a pattern that opponents were undoubtedly taking note of. As a direct consequence of these repeated incidents, the pressure on WNBA referees and league officials intensified, the demand for consistent and equitable officiating reaching a fever pitch. The question loomed large. How long would Wilson be allowed to push the boundaries of acceptable on-court conduct before facing meaningful disciplinary action from the league? The apparent inconsistency in the rulings only served to exacerbate the frustration and fuel the perception that a double standard might be at play.
Happened. Let somebody even breathe on A'ja Wilson. I don't. I can't whistle. You get the point. I mean, they're hitting a buzzer. The pressure luck buzzer. The whammy starts coming out. All right, the whammies start coming out because A'ja Wilson going to free throw line. She going to the free throw line. That's all there is to it.
Juxtaposing Wilson's increasingly volatile behavior is the contrasting display of competitive fire emanating from the sidelines of the Indiana Fever bench, courtesy of their injured star, Caitlin Clark. Despite being sidelined with a frustrating left groin injury, Clark's passion for the game and her unwavering commitment to her team remains strikingly evident. In a recent Fever victory over the Connecticut Sun, a game in which she couldn't even suit up, Clark found herself embroiled in a heated confrontation with a referee, requiring the intervention of assistant coach Brienne January to physically restrain her. With just over 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter of that tense contest, as officials reviewed a disputed out-of-bounds call, Clark was seen animatedly jawing at referee Mike Price while hobbling back towards the bench. Even after being pulled away, her vocal engagement with the officials continued, her frustration palpable even from her restricted vantage point. Her passionate, albeit perhaps overly zealous engagement underscored the fierce competitive spirit that burns within her, a spirit that seems to permeate the entire Fever organization. While Clark's actions might occasionally stray into the realm of excessive exuberance, they stand in stark contrast to the more overtly physical and arguably unsportsmanlike conduct exhibited by Wilson. This difference in their expressions of competitiveness speaks volumes about their respective leadership styles and their impact on their teams. Clark's fiery demeanor, even from the bench, appears to galvanize her teammates, fueling their determination and connecting with the passionate Indiana fanbase.
Smiling at it. Look. Just a granted. Look at this. What in the world's going on, man? Wrapping around her, hugging her. And she knows she cheating. Look. And getting away with murder, bro. Diabolical work. Look at this. Hugging her. She is hugging her, fam. Oh, my goodness. What? Hey, Ref. At this point, man, she need to take her out to dinner, man. Take her out to dinner at this point, Ref. What's going on?
Uh-oh. Wonder what he said. Oh! She was about to run over there.
I'm not a good lip reader.
What did he say?
I got it, but I don't want to read card 99.
Huh.
Okay. She said basically, "Are you kidding me?" to Michael Price, and that was Brianne January. who is
She said, "That's just rude.
9
Grow up."
years in Indiana,
Oh!
on the staff.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
a live shot now of Caitlin Clark.
What's the issue? What happened?
He's still upset and wants an explanation
Ooh.
from Michael Price.
She's gonna be calling him. He's like, whatever.
The broader context of team performance further illuminates the contrasting fortunes and leadership approaches of these two prominent players. Despite consistently putting up stellar individual statistics, including over 22 points and 9 rebounds per game, Aja Wilson has found herself unable to consistently will the Aces to victory. Their middling 500 record serves as a stark testament to the challenges of single-handedly carrying a team in a league as competitive as the WNBA. The embarrassing 81-54 drubbing at the hands of the Fever laid bare the Aces' vulnerabilities, with Wilson's 29 efficient points being overshadowed by the meager 25 combined points from the rest of her squad. The sobering reality is that the Las Vegas Aces, a team widely considered a championship contender at the season's outset, would likely find themselves languishing at the very bottom of the league, standings were it not for Wilson's heroic individual efforts. Yet, even her brilliance has not been enough to prevent them from falling to an unexpectedly pedestrian record. For all her undeniable talent, Wilson is experiencing firsthand the arduous task of attempting to single-handedly drag a struggling team to victory night after night. Caitlin Clark, in her debut season the year prior, accomplished precisely that for the Indiana Fever. She took a team that had languished with a dismal 5-31 record in 2023, and through a combination of exceptional skill, unwavering determination, and infectious leadership, transformed them into a playoff contender in 2024. As a rookie, she led the Fever in virtually every statistical category, never shying away from the pivotal moments of a game. Clutch shots, fearless drives to the basket, and even spirited exchanges with veteran opponents on the court became hallmarks of her impactful presence. Clark single-handedly instilled a culture of competitiveness in Indiana, a quality that had been conspicuously absent for far too long. Her remarkable efforts culminated in a coveted postseason berth, the Fever's first in 8 long years, and the well-deserved Rookie of the Year award. It comes as no surprise, then, that the Fever players have rallied so strongly around her. Even in her current injured state, her mere presence on the bench, whether standing to offer vocal encouragement or passionately critiquing the officials' calls, serves as a potent source of inspiration for both her teammates and the energized crowd. When Wilson and the Aces faced the Fever without Clark in the lineup, many anticipated an easy victory for the reigning champions. Instead, the opposite transpired. Indiana, demonstrating a superior level of teamwork, hustle, and determination, thoroughly outworked and out-hustled Las Vegas, exposing the cracks in the Aces' seemingly impenetrable armor. In that pivotal game, Wilson perhaps gained a first-hand appreciation for the challenges Clark faced the previous season, going up against a determined opponent with limited consistent support from her own team. Unlike Clark, however, Wilson was unable to will her squad to the finish line.
Another nice sight for the Fever to see was this from Cece hopping off the bench. You don't want to read too much into it, but it's something, right? Obviously, she gets a little frustrated with the officials, and Stephanie White was frustrated with the officials in this game as well. But you see Caitlin hop right to her feet there with no hesitation. Right up. That, again, you can be injured, and that can happen, but not moving too gingerly there on the sideline was Caitlin Clark, which is another positive sign.
The confluence of Aja Wilson's escalating frustrations and her controversial on-court conduct, most notably the alleged dirty play against Aliyah Boston, has provided a compelling narrative that suggests a significant shift in the WNBA's balance of power. Wilson's once dominant Aces appear increasingly vulnerable. Her reign as the league's undisputed MVP is facing a credible threat, and her on-court temperament is raising serious concerns among observers and officials alike. Conversely, the Indiana Fever, propelled by the emergence of a fiery young star and a newfound collective resilience, are undeniably on the ascent, playing with a fearless abandon and earning widespread respect throughout the league. The contrasting trajectories of these two teams and their respective star players are shaping the overarching storyline of the 2025 season, a narrative filled with unexpected twists, compelling rivalries, and the tantalizing promise of a new era in the WNBA. Aliyah Boston's exasperated reaction to the perceived injustice, her body language screaming frustration, resonated with many who witnessed the sequence. The question lingered in the air. Referees, where was the intervention of the officials when it seemed most warranted? What followed was an almost surreal moment of physical contact between Wilson and Boston, a hug that appeared to some as disingenuous, a stark contrast to the underlying tension of the moment. The expression on Aja Wilson's face seemed to betray a knowingness, a subtle acknowledgement of having perhaps benefited from the officials' leniency. The unfolding drama has given rise to a significant storyline, the direct comparison between Aja Wilson and Caitlin Clark in terms of their ability to carry their respective teams through adversity. Wilson, a two-time league MVP and a WNBA champion, possesses an undeniable pedigree of superstar excellence. Yet, this season has presented her with unprecedented challenges, testing her leadership and resilience in new and demanding ways. The Aces have been significantly impacted by injuries and key player departures, forcing Wilson into a role where she is often the sole offensive engine, carrying an enormous burden on her shoulders night after night. While her individual statistics remain undeniably impressive, the Aces' inability to consistently secure victories underscores the limitations of even the most exceptional individual talent when not supported by a cohesive and productive team. The humbling 81-54 defeat at the hands of the Fever served as a stark illustration of this imbalance, with Wilson's efficient 29 points dwarfed by the collective struggles of her teammates. The undeniable truth is that the Las Vegas Aces would likely find themselves languishing near the bottom of the league's standings if not for the sheer will and talent of Aja Wilson, highlighting the immense pressure she faces. For all her individual brilliance, Wilson is learning a harsh lesson about the difficulties of single-handedly dragging a struggling team to victory in the fiercely competitive landscape of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark, in her remarkable rookie season, demonstrated the very quality that Wilson currently seems to be striving for. She took a Fever team that had languished near the bottom of the league standings and, through her exceptional playmaking, scoring prowess, and unwavering leadership, propelled them to a playoff berth. Clark led the Fever in almost every statistical category, embracing the pressure of crucial moments with a fearlessness that belied her inexperience. Clutch shots became her trademark. Fearless drives to the basket a common sight, and even vocal interactions with veteran opponents served to ignite her team's competitive spirit. Clark single-handedly fostered a culture of competitiveness in Indiana, a transformation that had been years in the making. Her remarkable efforts culminated in the Fever's first postseason appearance in 8 years, and the well-deserved recognition of the Rookie of the Year award. It is little wonder, then, that the Fever players have rallied so fervently around her. Even while sidelined with her current injury, Clark's visible presence and vocal encouragement from the bench serve as a potent source of motivation for her teammates and the energized Indiana faithful. When Wilson and the Aces faced the Fever in the absence of Clark, the widespread expectation was a comfortable Vegas victory. Instead, the opposite occurred. Indiana, playing with a collective tenacity and unwavering hustle, outmaneuvered and outworked the Aces, exposing vulnerabilities that had previously been concealed. In that pivotal matchup, Wilson perhaps experienced a taste of the challenges Clark faced the year before, going up against a determined opponent with limited consistent support from her own supporting cast. Unlike Clark, however, Wilson was unable to will her team to the desired outcome.
Aliyah Boston's like, come on now. Let me just run it. She's mad as hell. I don't blame her. I mean, I don't blame her. Look at this. Look at this. What are we doing? Referees, where are the officials? Where? Then comes the loving embrace. Where are the officials? Look at that. Look at Asia's face. She knows the referees are going to give her the whistle. She knows it. Look at that. Yeah, look at it. Look.
Caitlin Clark sitting right here, man, after I think it was a tough shot by Aliyah Boston and nothing was called. Let's take a look at this, man. Look at Caitlin Clark jumping like crazy. Oh, my goodness. Caitlin, you have to sit down, man. Sit down.
The unfolding saga of Aja Wilson's frustrations and her highly scrutinized on-court conduct, particularly the alleged dirty play directed at Aliyah Boston, has served to illuminate a significant and potentially enduring shift in the balance of power within the Women's National Basketball Association. Wilson's once seemingly invincible aces now appear increasingly vulnerable. Her previously unchallenged reign as the league's preeminent most valuable player is facing a credible and compelling threat, and her on-court temperament has become a subject of considerable concern and debate. Conversely, the Indiana Fever, a franchise long associated with struggles, are now on a clear and undeniable upward trajectory, fueled by the incandescent talent and unwavering spirit of a dynamic young star, playing a fearless and cohesive brand of basketball that is rapidly earning them respect and recognition across the entire league. The contrasting fortunes and leadership styles of these two key figures are not merely a subplot. They are rapidly becoming the defining narrative of the 2025 WNBA season, a story characterized by unexpected twists, burgeoning rivalries, and the tantalizing anticipation of a new era dawning in the world of women's professional basketball.